Average Woodsman here, back with another video. So today I kind of wanted to go over 3 items that you should always carry on your person when you're recreating outdoors. I honestly believe that these are 3 of the most important items that you should always have with you, especially if it's summer, it's hot, you're trying to keep your kit lightweight, you're trying to stay from carrying a lot of gear. You can fit all of these items on your person, and especially if you have cargo pockets on your pants or shorts, you could have all these items on you and you don't even need to carry a kit bag, a backpack, fanny pack, any of those types of things. You can have these items all on your person and you'll still be ahead of the curve, especially if you have even a basic skill set. So let's get into it. All right, so these are the items kind of laid out. I have multiple items for fire because I'm going to discuss those a little bit separately. I think that fire is something, especially when you're talking about a ferro rod, a lot of people get really into just throwing a ferro rod in their backpack, or a magnesium rod with the little ferro rod strip on it. They kind of just throw it in their backpack and it's used as kind of like a talisman. They don't know how to use it. They don't know natural tender. A lot of times they'll just carry, sometimes they won't even carry any man-made tender, and if they do, they'll carry some small, like 1 or 2 Tender Quick tabs, or maybe some Vaseline cotton balls, which all work. But if you don't have the understanding of how to use this, then it's not going to be as useful to a novice as these other 2 items. So I really think that that's important to understand, and that's why I'm starting out with this over a good knife and a stainless steel water bottle. I'm starting out with fire because a lot of people just throw something like a ferro rod in their kit and don't know how to use it. They don't understand the basic mechanics of it. They use it as, like I said, a talisman, where they think that they're just gonna, if they're caught in an emergency, they're just going to throw some sparks with it and they're going to ignite whatever they have and they're going to start a fire, and it's going to be like all the survival shows and bushcraft channels and all this other stuff. They're just going to start a fire off the landscape and be living out in the woods off, on the high hog. And it's not going to be that case. If you do not understand how to correctly use a ferro rod, you can put yourself in a really bad situation, especially if you're in a wet area, a hot area, like a humid area, an area that has a lot of snow or rain. You can really put yourself at a disadvantage if you just carry a ferro rod and you don't understand the basic mechanics of it. So if you're someone who has used a ferro rod a lot, and you've put in a lot of dirt time with it, I think a ferro rod is by far the best piece of kit that you can carry for fire making, especially if you understand it. But if you're a novice and you're someone who doesn't understand the basic mechanics of this, you haven't put in the dirt time, I think it's far more advantageous to carry something like a Bic lighter inside of an Exotac fire sleeve. This is going to keep it dry. It's going to keep it somewhat insulated, especially if you have this on your person. You're not going to have to worry as much about the cold. If you have this inside of your jacket or inside of your wool anorak, or if you have this in your pocket, and this will keep it dry, even if you were to spill over in your canoe or kayak or something like that, this will keep it dry, and you can literally just take it out, instant flame. Now, if you don't want to carry a Bic lighter inside of an Exotac fire sleeve, you can always just throw a case of UCO Stormproof matches in your pocket. And now you have this has more than 20 stormproof matches. They're massive. They'll light when it's wet. They'll light when it's cold. And they'll give you instant flame. So it's instant gratification. Now for the next item, a really good belt knife. Preferably full tang, preferably a fixed blade. Now you can get away with a non-full tang fixed blade. Mora makes a lot of really good knives, like the HD Companion, the Bushcraft Black. They also make a full tang knife. They have the Mora Garberg. You could go with any number, Essie. This one is from Tops. This is the Tom Brown Tracker. The reason why I'm carrying this today is because I'm actually doing some testing with it. I'm going to be doing a video on it. But something like this, a good belt knife, can save your life in an emergency. You can do so many things with a good knife. Now, it doesn't have to be a fixed blade. It doesn't have to be a full tang knife. Maybe you just like to carry something like a folding knife. For instance, like I have this right here, this Finwolf from Cold Steel. Excellent knife. It has their triad lock. It's super secure, super tough, but you're not going to be able to do as much with this type of folding knife. Even as strong of a mechanism as this folding knife is, you're not going to be able to do as much with this knife as you would with a good full tang knife. As you can see on this knife sheath, it has an area where I can carry a ferro rod on it. Now, one thing you need to take into consideration, if you are going to choose, if you're going to forego carrying a matches or a lighter, and you're going to just carry a ferro rod, you need to take into consideration that your knife has a good 90-degree spine on it. For instance, this one does not have a 90-degree spine on it. It's coated, and the spine is rounded off. You could, and I have so far with testing this, use the sawback portion will create sparks by scraping it, but it gouges the ferro rod. It destroys the ferro rod relatively quickly. In an emergency, that's not going to be your main priority. You know, you're not as worried about in a 72 or 3-day situation. You're not going to be as worried about resource management as it would in the long term. But just take that into consideration. If your knife does not have a good 90-degree spine on it, you need to have some way to strike that ferro rod. So you need to have a designated striker with you, attached to that, either attached to the ferro rod itself or somewhere on your person. Last and certainly not least, a good stainless steel water bottle. Why stainless steel? Because this can be placed in a fire, directly onto a fire to boil water, for disinfecting it. You could make medicine in this. You can cook food in this. Remember, when you're carrying limited items, when you have a limited amount of gear on your person, your items need to be multifunctional. Honestly, most of the gear you carry should be multifunctional unless it's something very specific. This needs to be, if you're only carrying one water bottle, it needs to be multifunctional. So it needs to be able to carry water over distance. You need to be able to disinfect water with it. Maybe you want to cook in it. You can make char cloth in this. There's a million things that you can do with a stainless steel container. That's why it's probably the best piece of gear that you can carry for water. Of course, water filtration systems like Katadyn and the Grail. I carry the Grail everywhere I go. I generally have my Grail water bottle with the nesting cup. You can go with like the Sawyer mini filters. I have those. Those are obviously super useful, but this is more multifunctional. All right, guys. So that was just a quick video, down and dirty. I think that these are some of the best pieces of gear that you can carry, the best items that you can carry, especially if you're wanting to go lightweight, minimalistic, not wanting to carry a lot of gear on you. Your gear needs to be multifunctional, it needs to be practical, and you need to be able to use that gear effectively if you were caught in an emergency situation. Remember, this is not an extensive gear list. This is not, 5 C's, 10 C's. This is not the rule of 3 or any of those types of systems. This is specifically just 3 items that I believe are arguably the most important items, or at least some of the most important items that you can carry if you're wanting to have a lightweight minimalistic kit, especially in summer months like it is now. It's really hot, really humid. Sometimes you might not want to carry a backpack full of gear, a chest kit bag, waist belt, all these types of items on you. You don't want to carry a lot of gear because it's hot and humid. Maybe you're just going out for a day hike. You just need the basics. That's why multifunctionality is so important for these items. If you're going to go minimalistic, you need to not only understand the gear, but they need to be able to do multiple tasks. So remember to like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends and family. Be safe, stay dangerous, and I'll catch you on the next one.